This might be one of the most effective, highest converting landing pages you'll ever find. And by the end of this video, it's gonna be all yours because I'm gonna show you how to create this landing page step by step, and you'll see how to customize it with your own images, text, colors, fonts, and customized for your unique offer. Whether that's for a lead magnet, a webinar sign up, getting people into a consultation call, or to buy your product. And guess what? It converts really well. So this method requires zero experience. So if you've never made a landing page or a website before, I'll show you just how easy it is using WordPress, along with a free, super simple, fun to use drag and drop page building plugin. And then with a few extra clicks, we'll make sure it looks and functions amazingly well on all of your mobile devices too. And I have included chapter markers below this video just in case you ever need to skip to a specific step. So look for those down in the description below. So great, if you're ready, let's get started by getting you set up with a free domain name, along with a pretty huge discount on your web hosting if you need it, that I've worked out with my favorite hosting company, Bluehost. So you just need to use my affiliate link to get that discount and your free domain name. So to get that, you can either follow the link below or go to wesmcdowell.com/hosting, and we can get started right now. Okay, so when you follow that link, wesmcdowell.com/hosting, you're gonna end up right here. So as you can see, you've got quite a discount, $295 as opposed to $899 a month. And you've got all kinds of great stuff with Bluehost. You've got expert 24/7 support. I hardly need them, but when I do, they're right there. And it's just a really easy way to get your WordPress set up. And you do get that free domain name if you need it. So I'm just gonna click on Get Started. We're gonna get through this pretty quickly. Okay, so now it's time to choose your plan. Basic is just fine as long as you're just creating one website. If you're a web designer creating multiple sites for clients and you want staging servers, then go with one of these. But if you're just a business, all you need is this $295 a month plan. So I'm going to click on Select. Now here's where you can either use a domain you own. So if you already have a .com you want to use, you would just type that in here and it'll walk you through the steps of transferring it. Or if you want a brand new domain, all you need to do is see if the one you want is available. So I would just type in yourmostprofitableWebsite.com and we'll see if that's available. Click on Next. All right, we are in business, it's available. So all you need to do from here is input all of your billing information, choose your account plan. So basically it is cheaper the longer out you go with 36 months, but you can go down to 12 months, that's fine too. Then we have all these extras. So I like to just uncheck all of them. I don't think any of them are that necessary. And I'll click on Turn It Off. This one, Domain Privacy and Protection, is the only one you might consider that's going to keep your name off potentially being on any spam lists, but I've actually not really encountered that. So it's up to you if you want to keep that checked or not. And then enter in your payment information and check right here, and then click on Submit. Okay, so when everything goes through, all you have to do is click on Create Your Account. You've already got your domain name here. Now you're just going to create your password, and I'm just going to use the one that they got for me. I'm just gonna take note of it. I'm just gonna do a copy. Then click right here to show that you've read and agreed, and then create account. Now go to login, and then type in your password, and then log in. Just gonna save it. Okay, now create your website. I'm gonna choose skip this step, and I'm gonna keep choosing saying skip this. And then I'm finally gonna choose limitless customization. And they're going to ask you a few things. What type is it? Let's just say, just choose the type of your business. Or, we can actually just click on skip this step. I'm going to do that. Now here's where you want to put in the name of your business or the name of your website. Tagline's not that important. I'm going to skip that and click continue. We actually do not need to pick our theme here because the next step we do is going to take care of that for us. So I'm going to click on skip this step for now. They're installing WordPress. And now we're ready to actually log into WordPress where the fun can begin. So just click right over here. Okay, so we're now inside of our WordPress dashboard. Actually, if we click right here, we're actually in the dashboard where you would be when you log in to WordPress each time. So a few things I want to show you real quick before we get started. So within WordPress, the side panels where you're going to go, this is where most of your options are. So whenever you write a blog post, for instance, you can click on posts add new, same with pages. But the main thing I actually want to talk about right now is users, because you didn't actually choose a password for WordPress yet. So we're going to go ahead and click on users, all users. Now, when you signed up, it did create a user account for you. So I'm just going to click on edit, and I'm going to go down to the bottom. And it allows you to put in your first name, your last name, all that stuff. The really important thing though is that it has your email correct and that it has your password. So change it to something you'll remember and then click on update profile. Then whenever you need to log back into your account, you just go to yourwebsitename.com/wp-admin. You're going to put in your username and your password. Okay, so before we can get started here, we do need to add a few things. First of all, we need to add the theme for the site. So we're going to go over to Appearance and Themes. And we're just going to add a really simple one that's going to work the best with our page builder called Elementor. So we're going to go down to Add New Theme. I'm just going to type in, actually it's already here, but if it's not here, you're going to just type in Hello Elementor, and I'm going to click on Install and then on Activate. Okay, so we've got our theme, but we're not actually going to be working with the theme to build. We're going to use our page builder. So we need to go over to Plugins, Add New, and I'm going to go over and search for Elementor. And it's this guy right here. I'm just going to click on Install Now and then Activate. Okay, so now we have all the pieces we need in order to get building. So we're just going to go over to Pages and Add New. Just going to type in landing page. You'll type in whatever you need to here and then edit with Elementor. Okay, so this is basically what it looks like inside of the Elementor page builder. We have what I call the stage over here. This is where we visually build and bring all the different elements into place. And then this is the left sidebar where we have all of the elements, all the different widgets, where we can change the text and all that kind of stuff. And you will see what I mean as we get going. But the first thing we want to do is actually get rid of all this stuff up here. We want to start with a brand new clean page. So to do that, we're going to go down to the little gear icon way down in the bottom, Settings, and under Page Layout, we're going to go to Elementor Canvas. All right, so we got a brand new page here to work with. And the way this works is, again, you're going to be dragging elements into place onto the stage. Like for instance, let's drag this heading on over, and then you click it, and over here is where we're going to change that text. We can change the style. There's a ton of things we can do, and I'm going to show you all of it as we get going. By the end of this video, you're going to have a really clear picture about how to build just about any page you ever need, including this landing page. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to right click on this and then click on delete. And I'm actually going to delete this whole section as well so that we can just start fresh. And the way we'll do that is just click on the X right up here. So we're going to make this website in sections, and there's a few different ways that you can make a section. So the first way would be to click on the folder right here and then go over to blocks. And we've got all these blocks of different layouts that you can choose between. And then what you would do is basically change the different elements inside it, the content. We're going to get to that in a bit, but first we're going to do it the other way because I really want to get our feet wet so we know what we're doing. So we're going to build a section completely from scratch. So I'm going to click on the little plus icon here, and from here you just choose how many columns you want. In our case, we're going to choose 2 columns. And here's our section. It does not look like much yet, but that's okay. So the first thing we're going to do is start dragging in our different element. So this is going to be the top section of our landing page, otherwise known as the hero section. So what I'm going to do is click on this little grid. This is going to bring us to all of our widgets over here. So I'm going to take a heading widget, just drag it right into this column here. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to drag a text editor right underneath that and back. And now finally a button. And of course, we still have a lot of work to do here, a lot of customization. So first thing you'll notice is this is not given very much vertical space, right? Like it's really tight. So what we probably want to do is just choose the entire section, and then under layout, we can go over to where it says height. Now we've got a few options here. Here is default, so it's just basically taking up the amount of space that the content within it is giving it. So, but we want to give it more than that so it has room to breathe. So under height, we can do a few things. We can do fit to screen, which is going to make it be the entire height of the screen, which can be a nice clean look, and it's going to really depend on the person's browser. So however big their browser is, that's how big this is going to be. But I think we want to do something different here. I'm actually going to do a minimum height. And from there, we can just basically make it however big we want. And I like to use something around like 600 pixels or 700 pixels, maybe 7 in this case. I think that looks pretty good. So let's just do a little quick recap here of how the building process here works. So what we have here is this section, it's outlined in blue, and within a section, we have columns, right? We can have 1 column, 2, 3, up to 4. I wouldn't go too many more than 4. It really depends on the content, I guess. And we can do things like stretching the columns like this. They don't have to be equal, right? So we can kind of drag it to make sure it looks good. And then within each column, we have our widgets, our different building blocks for our different types of content. We have images, video, Google Maps, even icons, lots of stuff. And we're going to get to most of this in this video. So the next thing I want to do is let's dress this up a little bit. Let's add a background image. So the way we do that is we choose the entire section, and now we go over to style. And we've got choices when it comes to background. So we have just a normal, what they call classic, which is just a color. So basically, if you want to click here, you can make any color you want as a background. You could do a gradient. So you choose the top color and the bottom color. You can do a video even, which is kind of cool in the right application. You can do a slideshow where you can choose multiple images, but we're actually going to be pretty simple here. We're going to go back to classic. Remember how you can choose a color, but under classic, you can also just choose a background image. So I'm going to choose image. And what you would do is you would find your image. You can go to find a stock image somewhere. Maybe it's one you took yourself. You just drag that image file right onto the stage here. And what I like to do, just as a pro tip, I like to keep my hero images, if they're going to be full width, like this one's going to be, I like those to be about 1900 pixels wide. But in our case, I've actually pre-populated our images we're going to use. So I'm going to go over to Media Library and choose this one right here. Now, it's a little awkward looking. It doesn't quite fill the space right. So the first thing I do want to do is go to Size, and we're going to do Cover. And what that does is it makes sure that the image is just big enough to cover the space allotted. And as you resize the window, it'll get bigger or smaller accordingly. And then what if we thought there was too much headspace here and we wanted to move the whole thing up? Well, assuming that the image allows for that, right? If it's big enough, we're going to go to position, and we can do all kinds of things here. We could start with center. Actually, that looks pretty good. We can choose all these different types of scenarios, or if you're not happy with any of those preset ones, you can just go to custom, and then you can start sliding it around. But you got to be careful because you don't want it to repeat like that. So usually I'm just going to keep that on 0 so it's centered, and then but Y position, we'll move it up or down. So you can move it to however we want it to be. And I think that looks pretty good. The other trick I'm going to show you here is notice how the image scrolls with us. What I like to do, what I think looks a little cooler, is to actually switch the attachment to fixed, meaning as you scroll, the image is going to stay in place. I just think this is a much more modern approach. I like doing that. But time to move on. Now let's dress up our text a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the header, and there's lots of stuff we can do here. So first of all, in order to change the text, you have to go to content, and then you would type in your new header here. In this case, it would be, this is where you'd want to type in your unique value proposition for whatever it is you're offering on this landing page. And then for the text underneath it, you want to put in something that's telling people exactly what you're offering and how that's going to improve their life. And remember, clear beats clever every single time. So we'll do that, and then we'll change this call to action on the button too, because click here is not a very compelling call to action. You really want it to be much more specific to whatever it is they're getting, whether that's downloading a lead magnet or purchasing something. You'd say like get yours now, something along those lines. But so that's just changing the actual content. Now we need to change the style to match whatever it is you're going for. So let's start with the header. I'm just going to click on that, and then we'll go over to style. And this is where we can change just about everything about it. We can change the text color, the typography, which involves, what font you're using, how big it is, how bold it is. So let's just start with the text color. I'm going to choose a simple white that works best most of the time. And then under typography, I'm going to choose something a little different from this. I don't always love the Roboto font, but that's what they always default to. I'm going to actually choose one called Poppins. I think that's a nice clean one. And let's bump up the size a bit as well. I think something big and bold looks good like that. And speaking of bold, let's go under weight. And this particular font has like 9 different weights to it. So let's see what looks best. I'm going to choose 800. That might be too big. Let's go with 7. I like that. You can change things like under transform, you can make it all uppercase if you want, all lowercase, all capitalize, which will capitalize the first letter of each word. I'm just going to go back to default here. I think this feels the friendliest. And then line height. This is an interesting one. So you can basically make it tighter, or you can make it more spread out. I tend to use this a lot because I think they give you too much space between lines sometimes. So I'll just arrange it till it looks good. I actually think that looks pretty perfect. And then we'll go do the same thing with the text underneath it. So we'll choose that text block, up to style, text color. I'm going to choose white again. And then under typography, we'll go with Poppins again. And I'm going to bump up the weight a bit to be a little more legible. I think that looks pretty good. I think it goes over a little too far. So what I'm going to do is drag this over a bit. Something like that looks good to me. Now we'll go down to the call to action, under style, typography. I'm going to choose the same font again. And this time under transform, I'm going to do all uppercase here. And let's say we wanted to change the button color. We would just go still under style. We just go down to color, and then you can choose any color you want. You can slide this around. You can choose anything, but I've already got a color picked out that I want to use. Okay, so let's take a look at what this looks like. If you want to get a true preview without seeing all these bounding boxes around everything, you just got to collapse the sidebar by clicking this little arrow icon here. So this is what we're left with. And I like it, but here's what's missing. This text is a little hard to read over the white. So what I want to do is darken this side up just a bit so that all this text really pops. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to choose the section again. And under style, we've already chosen the background image. Now we need to put on an overlay. So we're going to collapse background, go down to background overlay. And again, we have choices. What we could do is go under classic and choose just black. The problem with that is it darkens the whole thing. And most of the time that's okay, especially when your text is kind of more in the middle. But since it's over to the side, I kind of just want it dark over here, not everywhere. So I'm going to choose the gradient instead. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of this pink, but I am going to keep it here for now just so we can see better what we're doing. The first thing we want to do is change the angle of the gradient because now it's going from top to bottom. We want it to go from left to right. So the way we do that is over on angle. If it's 180 now, I'm going to choose 90. So see, we have the black over here fading into the pink. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the pink and I'm going to choose black, but here's where our opacity or how transparent that is. So I'm just going to bump that all the way down to 0. And see what that did? Already this is so much easier to read, right? And you hardly even notice that it's there. So I'm really happy with how that looks. But since I am showing you pro tips here, I do want to show you one thing that we can add here that's probably going to improve your conversion rate on this button. So I'm going to go over to our widgets and I'm going to type in icon. And what we're looking for is an icon list. I'm going to drag this right under our button. I'm going to get rid of both of these, so we just have one list item. And as you can see, we have an icon. We can choose whatever icon we want, and we have some text. So I'm just going to click right on here to edit this. And under the text, here's where you can include some kind of risk reversal text, right? It would say something like no obligation, no credit card needed, something that's going to make people feel better about clicking this button. And that's going to be different for whatever it is you're offering. So, and if you wanted to change the icon, you would just click right here, and you would choose whatever you want. I think the check mark is fine though. So we're going to go up to style and then go under icon, and here's where we can change the color of it. I'm going to choose this kind of gold color, and then we'll go under under text rather, and change the text color to white. And then of course change the font to what we have for the rest. So go to typography, I'm going to choose Poppins, And I'm probably going to make that a little smaller as well. And this is a totally optional step, but I find that it does help when we're trying to really bump up those conversion rates. And I do want to show you one other cool thing. So right now, this bottom section is, or the line here is pretty squared off, but there's some cool stuff you can do. So if we choose the section under style, we can go down to shape divider, and we can choose whatever shape we have on the top or the bottom. In this case, we're talking about the bottom, so I'm going to click on that. And then under type, here's where you can choose from all these different types. Some of them are a little over the top, like that one is a bit much, I think. The one I'm going to do here is just waves. It's nice and simple, and you can change the height of it so it's not so over the top. You can change the width of it so it's just how you want it. I'm going to make the height slightly bigger, like that. But again, easy does it here. Like, you don't need to have that. I'm just showing you what's possible. All right, so it's time to move on to our next section, which is going to be a benefits section. So we're going to do another one from scratch just to keep the momentum going here, and so you really get the lay of the land where everything is and how to make these customizations. So I'm going to click on the plus icon, and I'm going to choose one column here. And then I'm going to go up to the widgets, and I'm going to choose a heading. And then underneath this, we're going to have 3 different columns of benefits. So what we need in order to do that, because remember we chose one column here, we're going to go up to the widgets, and we're going to choose an intersection. And we're going to drop that right under here. The reason we do it that way is because that way we can have a one column text block right above our 3 columns here. It's just the most efficient way of doing that, rather than having to have a whole separate section just for that text. So the first thing I want to do is give this a little bit of visual, separation from the section above it, because right now it's really tight, right? So I'm going to choose this section, and then we're going to go up to advanced. And here's where we have margin and padding. So margin is the space from the outside of this box above it. So if I wanted to have 100 pixels of margin, I would do that, and that means this is sitting 100 pixels away from there. So this is just empty space, and you can do that on the sides as well. I'm actually going to zero this out, and I'm going to go to padding instead. This is going to give us room on the inside of our section, which is really where we want it to be. So there's a few things to keep in mind here. If I were to type in, I'm just going to do 80, but see how it automatically tethers all these values together on the left, right, top, and bottom. But what if we don't want it on the left and right? I'm going to delete that. I'm going to unlink these values. So I'm going to give it 80 on top, 80 on bottom. All right, so from here, I'm just going to take our text. I'm going to first of all center it, and then go up to style, text color. Let's give it just like a simple black. Actually, I'm going to give it something a little slightly off black. I think that tends to look a little nicer. So I've just chosen a color that's, pretty deep blue, but reads as black almost. And then under typography, I'm going to choose our Poppins font again. Let's bump up the size slightly. If we want to bring that up to 700 again to match up here, we can do that. And then under content, you would type in something, describing these as the benefits that you deliver. Okay, so now let's add in these actual benefits. So we have 2 columns now. I actually want to make it 3. I love using 3 benefits. I think that's the magic number. So all we would do is right click here and then duplicate, or right click, add new column, either way. So we're going to drag in what are called icon boxes into each of these. So I'm going to go back up to our widgets, and I'm going to type in icon, and then icon box is what we're looking for. So I'm going to drag one of these right into our first column, and you would put in the name of your first benefit here. And then the text should really show the benefits of signing up for an appointment or your lead magnet webinar or your free consultation. So it really has to sell the benefit. And before we add the other 2, let's get our styling right, because then we can just copy and paste it and we don't have to do all those steps for each one. So first of all, you want to change the icon to whatever you want it to be. So go to icon library, and you would just find whichever thing, whatever kind of sells your benefit visually the best. Let's choose this light bulb right here, and then I'll go up to style, where we can change all the colors and the fonts and everything again. So I'm going to go ahead and make the icon the same yellow color as we have here. So I'm going to click here, I'll type in our color code, and this is really important too. We should have done this up here. If you want to save a color to use again, all you have to do is click on the plus icon here, and then you can name it if you want to. I'll just type yellow accent, create. Then we can use it anytime we want just by clicking on the global colors right here. It'll be right here for us. And we can do things like change the size. We can make it a little bigger if we wanted to. We can change the spacing. Just gonna get rid of that. I thought it was good before. And we can even rotate it. I don't know why you'd want to, but it's nice to know it's there. And now for content, for the written content, let's click on that and change the color. Let's change the color to our same. Let's go ahead and grab this color and reuse it. So I'm gonna click here, go up to style, text color. I'm just gonna click on it, click on plus. I'm just gonna name this dark text and then create. All right, so now we can grab that and use it everywhere else on the page. So we'll click on back on our icon box, and then under content, color, I'm going to choose the little globe icon here, and then dark text. Under typography, I'm going to choose our same font we've been using. And then under description, color, let's choose the same text, and typography, let's change that again as well. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and right-click copy, right-click paste, and right-click paste again. Now we just have to change the individual, content for each of these. I would probably click here. I would choose a different icon for it. Let's just choose that to be quick. We'll call that benefit 2. And then on benefit 3, we'll choose the magic wand here. And then that's benefit 3. Okay, so now what if we wanted to actually change the background color here slightly? So I'm just going to choose the entire section and go up to style. And what I'm going to do is choose classic, and then I'm going to make it just a really simple light color. So click right here, and I've chosen this really light gray. And of course, I'm going to save our color as gray background. So this has created a couple problems, right? This doesn't match anymore, and it looks really awkward, I think. So the way we fix that, if you had chosen any kind of a shape overlay like this, you just got to go to the section where that exists, and then under style, shape divider, you're going to go to the bottom, and now we just have to change the color here to match this color. So good thing we have it saved. There we go. Now it all matches. Now, what if we wanted these to be kind of on white cards, just to help them pop out from the background a little bit? Well, I'll show you how to do that. We just need to choose each column, and then we'll go to Style and Background Type. We're going to choose Classic, and we're just going to choose this to be white. And there's other things we can do here too, like if we wanted these corners to be rounded, we would just go down to Border, and then Border Radius. Let's see what like 20 pixels looks like. Maybe slightly higher, like 30. That looks pretty good. Now, I just want to show you something else. Let's talk about padding again, because right now, all these elements are way too close to the edges, and it kind of looks amateurish to me. So we'd go up to Advanced, still choosing the column itself. We'll go to Padding, and let's see what 20 pixels of padding looks like. And to me, I think that looks pretty good. So if we want to apply this change to our other two columns, all we need to do is right-click here, copy, and then we'll go to the next column, right-click, paste style, not paste, and then over here, paste style again. Now we just need to give it some separation between these columns. So the way we do that, let's go back to our first column, and I'm going to, under Advanced, I'm going to give this a bit of a margin on the side. So I'm going to unlink the values, and I'm going to do 10 on the right, 10 on the left. And now I'm going to do again, right-click, copy, right-click, paste style, and once more. Cool, so hopefully by now you're really getting it and getting the kind of the flow of how we can actually edit stuff. So what if we think that this text is too close to these boxes, which I think I do. So what we would do is we can either choose the text, or we can choose this and adjust the padding accordingly. So I'm just going to choose the text up top, and I'll go to Advanced, and then padding, we're going to unlink the values, and I'm going to give it, let's see what 30 looks like. There we go. Then that gives it the breathing room that it needs. All right, so let's get into our next section, which is going to be telling people what they're going to get or what they're going to accomplish once they opt in on your landing page here. So let's do this one a little differently. So we've already built 2 sections from scratch. Now I want to show you how to use a pre-made block, and then we can just customize that. So rather than clicking the plus, we'll click on the folder icon, and we have all of these pre-made blocks. All different formats that can be customized with all your colors, all your images, all that good stuff. A few things to note: you'll see all these little pro designations on a lot of these. That means you have to have the paid version of Elementor to use those. But don't worry, there's a ton of free ones. So they're categorized. You can either choose to just go through them all and see what layout you like, or you can start your search out at least by trying to find the right kind of categories. So I'm going to start by looking at features and see if we have something we like there. So again, you would just be looking for the right layout, knowing that all the images and colors can change. So I'm actually going to choose this one right here because I know I want to have an image and then a bulleted list basically on this side. So I'm going to click on Insert. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add a heading to this because right now it just has the bullets. So I'm going to go up to the widgets. I'm going to grab a heading and pull it on top. And I'm going to write something, what you'll get or accomplish. And we'll style it up to style. Text color, we'll use our same dark text. Typography, we'll keep it the same as everything else. Pop-ins, 700. Then I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And it feels tight, so I'm going to take line height and bump it up a little bit too. And then here's where you just fill in all the different things that people can expect. If it's a lead magnet, what are they going to learn? What are they going to be able to do by the end of it? So you'd fill in all that here. You just click on it. And this is like another compound widget, basically, where you have everything in one place. You have the icon, the title, and the text. So let's just worry about styling this now. You'll fill it in with your own details. I'm going to go up to Style, and under the icon, here's where you can change the color of the icon. I've picked out this kind of turquoise color right here, and I'll go ahead and save it. This turquoise accent, create. And then under content, that refers to the written content. So under title, I'm going to change the color, typography, font really. And then I'm going to get rid of the uppercase because we're not really using that anywhere else. We want to keep things nice and consistent. So I'm going to choose default. And then this is just a nitpick thing, but notice how these are not quite lined up, like center. They're not quite centered. The way I'm going to fix that is I'm just going to go down to line height and I'm just going to play around with it until it looks good to me. Like right there, I think is fine. And then I'm going to go to the description color. I'm going to change that to our text color. And the typography as well. And then if we want to apply the changes we made here, we just right-click copy, right-click paste style, and once more. And then of course to change the icons, you would just click on each one, go over to content, and then go to icon library, and just choose the right icon for each one. Or you could just leave them all as stars or check marks, something like that if you wanted to make it simpler. All right, so now let's talk about this image. We obviously don't want to keep this, so we're just going to go ahead and click on it and then go over to content and choose image. And again, you would just drag over whatever image you wanted to use. I happen to have the one already in here, so I'm just going to click on it, insert media. Now we do want to actually show you something that's kind of cool and new within Elementor. So let's say you don't want it to be just kind of a boring square shape. You can go up to advanced and then under mask, they've got all these, and you just turn it on, and they've got all these different shapes. So we have circle, we have a flower, sketch, triangle. So there's all these different things you can try to play around with. I'm just going to do circle, and you can change the positioning of it if you don't like how it is. But I think this works perfectly, actually. Okay, so that's how you customize a pre-made block. But let's customize it even more, because like, what if it's missing an element you needed? Well, we already put in a a headline. So we already showed you how to do that a little bit, but let's add a button down here because again, this is a landing page, right? We want to give people multiple options to actually click through and get what we want to sell them. So I'm going to go up to the widget. Actually, there's a few ways you could do this. We could drag a button over and style it, or guess what? We already have a button, so let's not waste it. Let's just right click on it, copy, and then right here, paste. Easy as that. And I should say, I didn't mention this earlier, the way you actually link up a button to where you want it to go, just make sure you click on it, and then under link right here, this is where you would type in the web address of where that's going. So maybe you have a MailChimp form that's, where they click on this and it's going to open up the form and they can opt in. Maybe it's to a sales page, maybe it's to a checkout page. It can go wherever you need it to go or open up anything it needs to open up within your email program. Before we move on, I actually do want to show you how to make this image bigger if you wanted to. So let's click on the image itself and then let's go to style. And so let's go to max width. So right now it's set to 66% of the width of this column. Let's just make it as big as we want to right here. I think that looks much better already. So let's take a look at what we've got so far. Hero section, benefits, this section here. Now let's add some social proof and testimonials. Super important for any landing page. This will be an easy one. We're just going to go ahead and add another pre-made text block. So click on the folder and under category, I'm going to look for testimonials right there. And let's find a layout that works for us. I'm just going to do this one right here and click on insert. Okay, so we would want to just change the text to whatever you want it to be. And rather than styling the text, I'm going to show you another trick. So what we can do, because we already have kind of a headline here and one here, let's grab this one. I'm just going to right click copy and then right click paste style. Then you just want to go through each one of these. So again, this is another compound widget, a testimonial widget. So it has the text and the person's picture. Super important, by the way. You always want to use the person's picture if you can and if they've agreed to it. It just lends a lot more credibility to the testimonial. People believe it more. Then you have the person's name and they say title, right? So like it's meant to say like their job title or some descriptor about them. It can say where they live, but what I actually like to do is I like to use a 5-star emoji right here. So you would just want to do a search online for web emojis and find the star, copy it, and then I'm just going to paste it right in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That really helps sell it more as a testimonial, and it gives it that just visual indicator that this is a 5-star review, which means even if they don't read the text, they're still going to kind of get the point. So now let's just style this up, go up to style, text color, we'll choose our same color we've been using. We'll change it to our same font. And we'll do the same thing with the name as well. So text color and typography, font. And of course, under content, this is where you would type in the content of the testimonial and you'll choose the correct image here. You just choose image and you would drag the real image of the person over as well. But I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave the placeholder in our case here. And now remember how we have these as rounded boxes? We want to carry that over. We want to be consistent. So let's do the same thing here. I'm going to choose the column and then go under style and then under border. That's where you do it. I don't know why it's under border. It just is. And then border radius, they already have one, but let's match the other one we already have, which is 30 pixels. And let's check it out. I like it. I think it's how I want it. So now we can just copy and paste it. So right click copy, right click paste style, and one more time. But that just took care of the actual columns, meaning that's how we have the rounded edges. But this styling is still not carried over because it's the widget, not the column, that needs to be copied and pasted. So we're going to right click copy, and then on this widget, right click paste style, and paste style one more time. And let's go on each of them and give them the 5 stars. Because that's not a style, that's a content change. Remember that. All right, so now we just need to change the background because remember, we want this to feel like multiple sections that people are scrolling down through. So we're just gonna give it the same background colors we have here. I'm just gonna expand this back out, choose the section, style, background type, classic. I'm going to choose our gray background color. So these were not given a color. They just have like a kind of a box shadow on them. So unfortunately, we need to make these white now. So super easy to do though. Just click the column, style, background type. I'm just going to, under color, make it white. And now we'll do the same thing again. Right click, copy, paste style, one more time. Okay, so we're almost done here. We just have two really simple sections left. We're just gonna make these guys from scratch because they're so easy. So I'm just gonna click on the plus icon, two columns. I'm gonna go up to widgets. I'm gonna grab a video. So if you have any kind of a video describing your product or your lead magnet, whatever it is you're offering here, highly recommend putting a video here. If you don't, you can just put another image, it's okay. And I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna grab a heading and a text block, or text editor rather. And so for our heading, I'm just gonna, here you would want to build some extra credibility in this section. That's what it's all about. You'll talk a little bit about your authority, what qualifies you, how you've helped others in the past, that kind of thing. And then you would type in your content here, of course. Now let's go ahead and style this section. So I'm gonna click the entire section. First of all, we want to give it some room to breathe, right? So I'm going to go up to advanced and I'm going to go to padding. I'm going to unconnect the values. I'm going to do 80 on top, 80 on bottom. I like 80. I think it's a nice number that gives enough breathing room without having to make people scroll too far. So if I'm giving you a pro tip here, I like 80 pixels of padding. I think it works the best. And let's give this a nice dark background to stand out from everything else we've done. So I'm going to go to style, and then background type, classic. I'm gonna choose our same dark text color just to kind of stick with our color palette we have. And I'm gonna make this text under style. I'm going to make that white. And I'm gonna, of course, change our font under typography. And the same thing with this text as well. And I'm actually going to add a button here too. So rather than dragging another one over, let's just work with what we've got. Right click, copy, right click, paste. So now let's go ahead and add in our video. And you do have a few options here. So it lets you either embed it from YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, or you can self-host it, meaning you would actually have the video file on your website itself. I do not recommend doing that. It's going to really slow down your site. I highly recommend going with YouTube because it's just good for SEO. It's good for a lot of things to use YouTube over Vimeo. So I'm going to click YouTube, and then you're just going to upload your video and then grab the little share link that they give you, and you're going to pop that in right here. And then there's a lot going on here. It's a little busy. So I'm just going to click off player controls, which at least just gets rid of that bottom thing here. It's still a little busy, but we can deal with it. And I do want to show you one more thing, because right now, to me, these elements are way too close together. So the way we can change the width between the columns is we just choose the entire section, and under layout, we go to columns gap, and then we can go, let's say wide. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that looks pretty perfect right there. And this is actually all pretty nice and centered. It's not exactly centered, but if there was a case where maybe this text, let's make this text longer just so you can see what I'm talking about. I just want to make sure you know how to do this. Let's go ahead and add a second column here. So if we wanted to make sure everything was centered, meaning this video, we would choose the entire section under layout, vertical align, middle. And that's going to make everything nice and centered there. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that second paragraph now. Okay, so last section time. So this one's really easy, and there's something that exists that we can actually draw from. So I'm going to click on the folder, and then under blocks, we're going to choose call to action. So I'm just going to find a really simple one, just like this one right here, insert. So this is basically just going to be hitting them up one last time to opt in. I'm going to right away delete this second line here. Just right click, delete. I'm going to copy our button and paste it. But see how it's left justified, because that one is too. So easy fix, just under content, go to alignment, center, and I'll change our text to whatever we would want it to be. And of course, style it, text color, typography, and only one thing left to do now, and that is to add our background color. So I'm going to choose the section, go to style. I really want this to pop because it's kind of our last chance to get people. So under classic, I'm going to choose that turquoise accent that we used before. All right, so if we take a look, I think this is a really nice, clean page that does a really good job of actually selling whatever it is that you want to sell. But you might want to have your logo up here. Here's what I don't recommend doing. On a landing page, you do not want any navigation up here. This needs to be a standalone page that they can't use to get to other pages on your website. Having said that, you still may want a logo up here. So I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. Just hovering over the top section, we're going to click on the plus icon. That's going to give us a new section. I'm just going to click on the plus icon. I'll do a 2-column layout, and I'm going to drag this over to make it pretty small. Go up to your widgets, and then take an image file and drag that right over here. And this is going to be your logo file. So you can either choose to have it like this with a white bar, or you can change the background color of this to black if you want with your logo. Or if you want to get extra fancy and you have a logo file with a transparent background, we can actually do something really cool here. So I'm actually going to replace this with our logo file. So I'm going to click on choose image, and then I'm going to drag over a transparent background image file. So it's otherwise known as a PNG file. It's going to be hard to see. You won't be able to see it quite yet, but I'm just going to click on insert media. And of course you can't see anything because it's transparent. So what we're going to do is we're going to push this section here up here, and then this section is going to sit on top of it. Okay, so then we're going to be able to see our logo as a transparent header. The first thing we need to do though is choose this section. We're going to go to advanced, Z index, just set this at 2. Now we're going to go to this section underneath it, advanced. We're going to make sure that our values are not linked together. And now we're going to push this into the negative. And now you can start seeing that logo right there. So we're going to start pushing this up until it reaches the very top here. All right, just like that. And if that's too big, we can kind of play around with the spacing and the sizing right here to look however you want it to look. And let's take a look at this. And one thing I might do is I think I might make this section a little taller, just a little general cleanup here. I'm going to right click, edit section, and then under layout, I'm just going to make the minimum height slightly bigger. Just give it all a little bit more breathing room. And to me, this looks pretty solid so far. So next thing we need to do is expand this out and click on publish. Now, one thing that can really make or break this page is the images that you choose to go on it. And I'm here to show you all my best image selection secrets, along with some of my favorite places to go to find the really good ones on a budget or even for free. So click this video to get all my best image guidance that's going to help tie all this together into the highest converting landing page possible. So click right here and we'll get you all set up.